It's funny because he was like, to do what you do in one take. I was watching and you just went in there, one take, no warm up, and of course he's liking it to being in the studio.
Sure.
He's like, and just do it in one take. He goes, what can I say? You're the king. He said that. To which then I responded, no, dude, you're the king.
You're literally the king.
Is that where you got the inspiration?
You know what? The inspiration just comes from what is, man. I mean, long live the king. I didn't want to do a memorial piece. I didn't want to do a piece that was, had him with wings, with, the proverbial wings, a halo, but actually like a long live the king, like he is there. He's in that wall. He's embedded in that wall. And the Van Halen logo is behind him again in that kind of fair warning, those old concerts where they had the VH logo and those big, lights, stage lights.
Right.
I wanted to have that in the background as a nod to the band itself because, this is Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen, that hopefully we haven't seen the last of.
What year was that you met Ed, and where were you? Were you at a fundraiser, or what was the actual event that you were at? What year was that?
We met at a mutual friend's wedding, and I was drawing the mutual friend. This was in 2015, and this was 1 week after they played the Jimmy Kimmel Show. Exactly 1 week.
Right.
When Dave broke his nose?
When Dave broke his nose.
Right.
Yeah.
I was front row for that.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
the whole thing.
Did you get any blood on you?
Blood on me. No blood on me.
It's too bad that you didn't hook up earlier. It would have been perfect for you to design a VH album cover. You would have been the perfect person. That would have been unbelievable. Maybe Wolfie can do that with you one day. So I wanted to ask you, tell me about the idea. Did you go into Guitar Center? Did you speak to the manager? Like, how did that whole thing come about?
Yes. I walked in there, just literally cold, walked in there, asked to speak to the manager, and thankfully, I have a name,
right?
Out here where I wasn't completely unfamiliar with them, and some of them were like, hey, well, I know you. You did the Motley Crue mural for the Dirt at the Whiskey, and
right.
You did this, you painted the doors. So that was a nice icebreaker. Yeah, this is my idea. This is what I love to do. And he was like, that sounds rad. Give me your info and we'll connect you with the brass. And I got a call immediately. They were like, yes, we were familiar with your work and what do you have in mind? So did a little mock-up. I immediately knew what I wanted to do. But we were talking about this back in October when Ed passed. I was really trying to make it happen for the front. I wanted to paint this mural on the front of Guitar Center, and it didn't work out. They had another mural that was up there for a while and fairly new and a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, Ed deserves so much more, and it was a whole thing. And so we sat on it for a while. Okay. And I was actually ready to walk away because I was like, hey, if this is Eddie Van Halen, this isn't, anybody else. You don't just put it in the back. But then I thought to myself, that front wall kept getting tagged. People were writing all over it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, let me take another look at the back wall. It actually gets locked overnight. It's a pretty large wall, and that's where people are entering right now. I thought, you know what? I'm going to make the back turn into the front, and I'm going to make the front be the back.
That's great. That's awesome.
Your attitude.
The fucking most killer Eddie Van Halen mural ever, so that now the back is where everyone wants to go, and people won't even want to go to Guitar Center. They literally just want to go right there.
Well, it's become a shrine.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And no diss to Guitar Center. I love the people. They've been great. But it was funny how that initially started off.
That's amazing. How did you go about choosing which photo to use? I know you wanted that era, but there's so many photos to choose from. How did you come upon the idea to use that exact shot?
It was just the one that I think had his face, kind of the right pose, the right expression, you know, kind of this roar. I took some liberties with the piece, so it's not an exact replica. Yeah, that was pretty much it. It came together really quickly. That was one of the first, to say, 10 images I looked at, and after I kept looking, I went back to it and said, no, I think this is it.
What did you just do, a Google search, or did you look up books, or?
Yeah, sure. Looked online and, just did some research, looked up some of my stuff, and I already had the image in my head. I just had to find the image that kind of coincided with the vision I already had.
How long did it take you, and did you do a rendering on paper first, or did you paint it already? No, you didn't.
No, completely freehand, right onto the wall.
Oh, my God.
No grids, no projections, no stencils, just literally, and you could see them on my Instagram, you just looking at the wall, blank wall, just kind of looking at it through my own lens in my head and scaling it, and then just went right up to it and just brushed to wall and started painting it.
That's insane. So how do you make sure, how do you get the dimensions right and that you're not making his head too big, or like, how do you do that freehand?
That's my approach. I've never done it any other way, so that's how I paint. I mean, I'm currently painting the largest mural in the world by one artist in downtown LA, which is 14 stories, 60,000 plus square feet. I've been painting it for over a year, and I'm doing that completely freehand.
Oh my God.
The Eddie Van Halen mural, size of that, how big that may be to some, that's some of my smaller work. Small in the sense of size, but, you know, one of the biggest in sense of hearts.
Right.
Yeah.
How long did the Eddie mural take you to paint?
Oh, actually about 10 days.
How long were the days?
Oh, I was showing up at about 9 and packing it in at about 9, but towards the end, because I spent a lot of time on the face, I just really wanted to get the right expression right. So towards the end, because the unveiling date was already set, like we had set we were going to do it on Ed's birthday.
Right.
So I had a deadline. So for the last couple of nights, I was pulling virtually almost all-nighters to get it done. I mean, I was out of there at like 4 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, and then back there at like 8.
Do you have somebody who, like, looks at it from far away and says, no, you got to fix that? Or are you painting it and then going back on the ground, taking a step back, then going back up, repainting? Like, how does that process?
I mean, every once in a while, I mean, of course, I'm going to come down. I'm getting new paints, and I'm changing brushes. I'll take a look at it. I'll make some adjustments. But, I mean, if I came down as often as you would think, then I'd never be done with the piece if I was constantly analyzing it that way. I know what I want to do, you know, and I execute it. I have a team with me that's handling different aspects of the process, washing brushes, you know, opening cans, closing cans, you know, pouring paint here and there. But for the most part, it's just me.
How do you protect it from the weather elements?
There's a clear coat that's put over it that kind of seals it and protects it from the UV rays. It doesn't get too much sun. It gets some sun in the afternoon, but for the most part, the sun is kind of on the other side of that building. So there's just a small window of time when the light's actually hitting it. But when it does, it's pretty beautiful.
Now, do you get funded for something like this, or is this done just out of the goodness of your heart? Oh, you do?
It was commissioned by Guitar Center.
Oh, okay. All right. That's nice. That's awesome. And
brought it to Guitar Center, and they're like, great. How much is it, you know?
Right.
What are the terms?
Okay. And
so note to all other artists, you know, go for it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be working for free.
Yeah. What is the dimensions of the entire thing?
It's about 100, almost about 100 feet wide by about 35, 40 feet tall.
That's amazing.
Feet tall.
That's amazing. How many ladders did you have going?
No ladders. I had a scissor lift, so I was pretty much unstoppable with that thing.
That's unbelievable.
Well, that's a lot safer for sure.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, yeah. No.
And
my ladder days are over.
That's good.
Did you film it so that you could do that speed ahead video?
Not from beginning to end.
Right.
Certain parts of it, yes. You can find that on my Instagram. You know, some of the early parts of the mural, and then towards the end of the mural, you'll see a lot of really, really good video. But I was trying to do a good job of going live every day at about 4 p.m. so people from around the world, where they could tune in and see the progress. You know, you asked me about people's input. I would get people's input then, and people, you know, someone in Iceland or someone in the UK or someone in Australia would chime in on what they thought, and that was really cool because, you know, if you're walking down the street, you see someone with the Van Halen shirt on, you got one on, you don't even talk to them necessarily. You look at them, they look at you, you nod your head, you put up the horns, they put up the horns, and
right.
you had a full conversation there. You know what I mean?
That's great.
You already know what's up. And depending on the era of the shirt, you know what's up too.
Right, exactly,
you know?
Exactly. Did you listen to any Van Halen music while painting?
The complete catalog the entire time. Nothing else played but Van Halen 1 through 1984.
Okay.
That was heavy rotation all the way through. And then towards the end, I was like, you know what? Let me open it up and listen to a little bit of Pound Cake, a little bit of, you know, the 5150.
Right.
And in the end, you know, we drew our lines back in the day of like, I'm only Dave era and I'm only this or that. And I'm still Dave till the end.
Right.
But now with Ed gone, it's kind of time to appreciate the whole catalog because
Sure.
it's all Ed's music.
Absolutely. It's in his entire career for sure. And now, did a lot of people stop by, honk, wave, yell to you while you were working?
Yes, there was no shortage of people there pretty much all day. And it was cool to see the people after a while show up early and then just camp out with us and hang out and maybe even participate, help out with some of the fans, just, coming, checking in on the progress every day and building a little tribe. It was really cool. Honestly, I miss that. It was a fun project to be a part of.
Have you done a lot of rock and roll groups? Is that a large part of your collection?
I mean, I'm a rocker for sure. And the people that I paint in the rock world, they're all alive. They're all people that I have a relationship with.
Okay.
So it's not like I paint images of rockers who've passed on. That's not my thing. Actually, I like painting people who are here right now. So say when I painted the mural for Motley Crue for the Dirt or Premiere, and I painted it literally on the Whiskey A Go-Go right underneath the marquee. And that's something I collaborated with Nikki Sixx on because Nikki Sixx is a friend of mine. Did that with them, and I did something with The Doors. I've done something with Mike Muir of Suicidal Tendencies, Glenn Hughes of Deep Purple, and just painted tons of rockers. Bon Jovi. I was with Bon Jovi last year, a couple years ago in Europe at a couple of our tours, kind of crossed paths, and we talked about doing some stuff together and got to paint David Bryan from Bon Jovi. He's also another dear friend of mine. And, it's awesome to be able to use my creativity or cross paths with other creative heroes that I've had. And just on a creative level, just like with Eddie, just connect. Because there's somewhere where we both intersect as creatives. Doesn't matter what the medium is. If we're passionate about what we're doing, we speak the same language.
Well, you're not painting murals of rock stars. What are you painting murals of?
I mean, it depends. I just painted a mural with Adidas. The unveiling was yesterday. Collaborated with Adidas LA, and I've done toured the world with Vans, do a lot of work with them. They're my family. Currently painting the large mural in downtown, which is more of a legacy mural of LA. Kobe's featured in that mural. Oscar De La Hoya, who's a friend of mine, he's up there with me on the left. Nikki Sixx is actually going to be in that mural, championing LA's creative energy. So I'm going to have him on there, kind of hammering a rod into a bolt of lightning. And he was up with me on the scaffolding, like 10, 11 stories off the ground. Cool stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I'm blessed.
Now, in terms of the reaction from it after the whole thing was done, did you receive a lot of love worldwide for this piece of work?
Totally. I mean, it was happening while I was creating it because I was really inclusive of the process. But yeah, afterward, it was featured on Rolling Stone, which is, kind of a dream for me, right?
Sure.
As a rocker to be in Rolling Stone, it's like, wow, cool. I'm doing that. People Magazine, Variety Magazine, and just, some of the big networks, which is great. But I think what meant the most to me is the fan appreciation. And of course, Wolfgang Van Halen posting about it, talking about writing to me directly and telling me how much he appreciated it.
That's incredible. So did that take you by surprise?
Honestly, no, because the whole goal is to make something that's impactful, that reaches people, and people respond to it. That was the goal.
No, I meant to hear from Wolf directly.
No, because the vibrations were going to get out there, and if I did my job, I know that he couldn't help but, say something about it.
Sure. So now where does this stand for you in your career, the piece, in the history of your career? Is this one of your favorites, or is this a very special one? Like, where does it stand?
I mean, all of the above. It's one of my favorites. It's special. It's got to be top 3. I'm in the middle of writing that history, so there's going to be more to come. Each project has its own story and narrative. But as a kid, buying that first Van Halen record, playing the guitar when I was 10, and Eddie was the reason why, and going to the Monsters of Rock concert here at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, and just getting to see them. I mean, they even broke up on my birthday on April 1st in 1985.
Wow.
And then seeing them almost 30 years later to the day. I mean, I've seen them many times, but seeing them 30 years later to the day at the Jimmy Kimmel performance was cool too with Dave. I'm a artist that's in the middle of his career, But when I was painting that, I was just like this 10-year-old kid just rocking out. And it was funny because when I did the Van Halen, the necklace, when I just kind of did the logo, like I knocked it out in probably 30 seconds, just, boom, boom, boom. And then people who were watching were like, wow, you did that so fast. And I was like, I'm going to date myself right here. But I'm like, dude, that's just like drawing it out on my peachy folder. I go, this is like nothing. I know this thing by heart.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, that is a myth that Van Halen broke up on April 1st. It really happened on that. If that helps you sleep at night, that they did not actually break up on April.